So, hello everyone. I am super excited. We are going to chat tonight about some Christmas feels. So, this is all about Christmas scents, making your home smell beautiful, but not having to sacrifice safety or health. So, safety is a big one when we're talking about using certain products, certain things that light up, and health is a huge one in that aspect. So, if you don't know us, my name is Rachael. Brittany's with me here. We're doing weekly kind of wellness chats on different topics, things to just help people, whether they're curious about natural products, whether you have oils and you're like, how the heck do I use them? And then we also follow it with a business brand partner call. So you're welcome to join for either or both. And yeah, we're going to talk today a bit about kind of specifically like Christmas feels and Christmas scents, but with this season comes candles. Like it just does. So that's going to be kind of a big portion of what we're going to share about. And then obviously some ways to make your house smell really beautiful and not have to, sacrifice that this season. So yeah. Do you want to kick us off, Brittany?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm just gonna flip my camera around while we chat. I am setting up on Instagram as well, so that's always fun. So like I said, me and Rachel will be chatting with you. And when we were chatting about today, we were texting each other about Christmas scents, and my kids have been grabbing the ornaments off the tree and using them like I let them pick out, and they are playing with each other. Anyways, it brings me back to memories of Christmas and the holidays. So I would love to know, do you have a holiday scent, or a scent, a smell that you think of when you think of Christmas? I specifically have two that I'm going to share with you. And one is candy canes. I don't know about you, but my mom, she still does this, even though her grandchildren, my girls, well, now they already opened up a box and probably steal them all off the tree. She gets candy canes. She purchases candy canes, just like the candy cane. Now they have them in all different sorts of ways, but the red and white, and sticks them along the tree. And so I just smell candy canes. And so that is a scent that reminds me of putting up the tree or candy canes. And so I feel like a lot of times we could think of a scent and it brings us a feeling. Okay? Yeah, and a memory, right? Like our scent, our sense of smell is so much connected to how we feel, and we often don't realize that. So maybe it brings up a good memory, maybe not a good memory. In this case, candy canes and the scent of candy canes bring me a good memory. Another scent is cinnamon. I remember going with my mom to this potpourri store. It's not that anymore, but I still remember where it was. And I just remember being on the second story of this building when my mom was checking out or looking around. I probably was sneaking and doing things I wasn't supposed to, being a snoopy little kid. I don't know how old I was. I don't even know if my mom remembers this memory, but I just remember her checking out and smelling cinnamon, which was funny because the first time I ever smelled Thieves Essential Oil, I was brought me back to that. I was I didn't even know I had that memory until I smelled Thieves Essential Oil 6 years ago. And I was oh my gosh, I remember my mom went to this potpourri store, especially during the holidays, you know what I mean? Because you want your house to smell good during the holidays, and fall, especially when this waft of cinnamon brought me back and made me feel happy and like a little kid and being in the store and adventurous. And so, Rachel, was there a scent that you think of that brings you anything?
I've always loved vanilla. Like I used to love candles. So whenever you go in a candle store and you smell them, vanilla would be one I was always drawn to. And same with cinnamon, just like you. It just feels comforting and warm, and scents are cool in that way too. And that feeling, and they are memory. And that's because when we breathe, it goes into our limbic system in our brain, and that's where your emotions are stored, your memory, all of that is processed. So like it's cool to have something smell good, but to have it have health benefits and, you know, support that area of the brain is really cool. I didn't bring any oil that smells like it, but when you were talking about that, I'm like, you know what, like a fresh Christmas tree. Like my parents didn't always do it, but sometimes they got a fresh Christmas tree and there's just like that smell. So the last few years I've been getting a fresh Christmas wreath from Costco, and the smell is so nice. Like it just has that like fresh evergreen scent. So that one always reminds me of Christmas too.
So we've always had fake trees. So what is there like an essential oil that you would tie closest to? Because I've actually had people ask me that, like, oh, I love Christmas trees because of this, but I don't love
So
it.
definitely, I don't have it here on hand, but evergreen essence, because it's like all the trees. And Yvonne told me, our friend Yvonne, she actually said it's made from like Christmas trees they don't use, which I didn't know. And that is so cool. So it's like a bunch of different evergreen trees. So that one really, really smells like Christmas trees. Or, I mean, you get whatever kind of Christmas tree you want. There's different ones, but I think we always used to get a fir tree. So there is grand fir that smells a lot like Christmas trees to me. So I would say those are my top kind of two ones.
Okay, that's good to know. I always just diffuse, like last year, I was obsessed with pine essential oil,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they're like, I've never had a Christmas tree, like a real one. I'm sure as a kid, my mom did it one year and then was like,
Yeah.
never doing this again. But
Yeah, they're messy.
that's what I think of.
But if you want that scent and that memory, like there's no reason you can't put a couple drops of those oils on your fake Christmas tree, or, you know, like put a little pine cone in there and put it in the tree. So you get that, you know, memory and emotion with it, but you're not having to clean up all the needles and stuff, right?
Or spiders here. We're in the South. There's bugs in the trees.
Oof.
Okay. Did you have any more information? I love that information on the limbic system.
Yeah, like nothing, I didn't plan for that particularly, but I think it's a huge part of our our sense of smell that people don't really think about. Like they're like, oh yeah, that smells great. Like I love the candle because it smells great, or I love the diffuser and oils because it smells great. But they don't think about how it's actually really powerful for us, right?
Tied in with emotions.
Like it's hugely linked. Think about if, you know, there might be a scent, you know, your grandma or grandpa, like you can just remember them. Like for me, I think of my grandma used to make peppermint tea. So like fresh peppermint leaves, like I remember her doing that and it brings back memories. So it's so linked to our emotions, which means we can use it to our benefit, right? Especially, I mean, not as much for you guys in the South, but for us here in Canada, it's dark, gloomy, cold. So using things that support your emotions and don't negatively impact your health are going to be good. So like, yes, a vanilla candle smells amazing, great, but it doesn't have good, you know, ingredients to it. So there's things like formaldehyde, synthetic fragrance, there's endocrine disruptors, which can be bad for our hormonal system. So those things aren't great that come along with a you know, a good smelling candle, but you can use an option like an essential oil, or, you know, some people even, have you seen those things on the stove where they like make a potpourri mix kind of in the pot to make their house smell good? Like that, I mean, if you don't use oils, that's an option, but same kind of thing as diffusing, right? It's to bring
even
that
just
good
the cinnamon
scent.
sticks and the orange slices, and you bring them to a boil with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's like literally Christmas spirit in a bottle.
Exactly.
That's what I think of.
You know what? That, speaking of that, ties so well into. So when me and Rachel were chatting about this, and chatting about scents and like what we're doing for the holidays and traditions and everything else, I had recently come across a toxicologist. I feel like that's a big word. And it's Yvonne Burkhart. And what she was sharing, she shared 5 reasons she says stay away from fragrance, a candle specifically, but the same could go in with plug-ins and wax burners. She said specifically, especially if you're pregnant, which I thought was interesting because a lot of times too, I take things as like, okay, well, if we don't want a pregnant person doing that, like I probably shouldn't do that.
That's like a big red flag for me when they're like, not for pregnant or children. I'm like, if it's not good enough for them, it's not good enough for anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's something to that. So she said the easiest way to increase your toxic load is actually through polluted air. And I know we love to smell good things, and yes, essential oils do smell good, but there's a difference in essential oils versus candles and wax burners. And two, also, even not just like it's a difference between essential oil versus essential oil, right? It's not just that all essential oils are created equally or good. There are bad essential oils out there that are not pure and that are fake, basically. So what
more
she
for
said,
again, more for the scent versus the benefit, right? Or they're filled with other things, to make them stretch or cheaper or those kinds of things.
And she says to watch out for that too. But here, her 5 reasons are: candles are a source of indoor air pollutants. Okay, we know that they are in the air, we breathe them in. Okay. 2, they emit pollutants even when they're not lit. So we think, oh, we're lighting it, and that's when we're getting that bad air quality and we're breathing that in. No, it also when it's not lit, right? Like how many times when you go buy a candle, I don't even have a candle, but pretend it's the candle, you open the lid and you smell it and you still smell the scent, right? Like that's what she's saying, is it lingers on. Right. And then number 3 usually contain toxic fragrance chemicals that liberate, which are this is not the good kind of liberation, carcinogens, yikes, red flag, allergens, and endocrine disruptors. How many I know of friends and family members who have candles, yet their kids or themselves are taking Zyrtec or Claritin on the daily. Okay, if your kids are taking Zyrtec and Claritin due to allergens outside, we also need to think of, right? It's not pollen season right now. You need to think about the allergens in your house. And honestly, I did not think about that until just now when I read this, even though I listened to her give this information earlier. And
I think the endocrine disruptors, just I'm gonna interrupt you for a second. I've had so many people, like, I came off birth control a few years ago. So since then, I've been learning about it and sharing about it. And I've had like a mass amount of women come to me and like, share their stories and be concerned about, hormonal issues and endocrine problems and reproductive problems and all these things. And it's like, that's so skimmed over as like, a side effect of using fragrances or, toxic cleaners or things like that. It's very skimmed over, but it's a huge part of life. And like some people might not even link it. You find out you have, hormonal issues when you're 30 and you wonder, well, where did this come from? Well, what have I been using for 30 years, right? And it's hard to link it because you've been doing things for so long. But yeah, those are, real risks that we are exposed to. So
yeah. And so in case you don't know, because I didn't know, like, what is an endocrine disruptor? Like, we use those big fancy words and they're not big and fancy, but they are, and really not know what they mean. So think about your hormone levels, your thyroids, like literally your what makes up your endocrine system? Like, it's just as important as all the body systems, if not the most important. Think about like,
I'd say even more so. Like people think it's just your actual like hormones, sex hormones, but it's like your breathing, your metabolism, your heart rate. Like those are all controlled by hormones, not just sex, not just reproduction. Like it's
See, I think of like reproduction and then it only matters to girls, but there's a reason. I mean, granted, yes, infertility rates are only increasing and it's not just the girl's fault anymore. I mean, not that it's anyone's fault, but like in the past, I felt like it was just always like, well, the girl, but it's also, men have an endocrine system too. You know what I mean? Like it's a full blown body thing. So, so that was number 3. Number 4, some dyes that are used to color candles actually are carcinogenic. So you think, oh, the color, well, I'm not eating it and I'm not touching it, but it's melting, you're burning it and breathing it in. And 2, I didn't think about that either until she mentioned that. Number 5, last on here, is candles are largely unregulated. There can still be petroleum derived wax, even if it's labeled as soy or coconut blend. So no, she was talking about how a lot of people will say, well, it's a soy candle or it's a coconut blend candle, and that's supposed to be like better for you, but she says it's unregulated. And specifically, this blew my mind. she kind of talked about, the toxicologist talked about plugins. When I was looking at information of like why to watch out for plugins, and she flipped it over in her video and showed that the ingredient was fragrance. Because it said like, so plugins it's like tricked you. It said infused with natural essential oils.
Yeah,
So
I
she's
see
like,
those.
okay, well, it says natural essential oil, so it must be good. You flip it over, same thing with fragrance. It has fragrance as the ingredients. So based on the list from people who regulate fragrance, at a minimum, there could be 3,224 ingredients. It says ingredient fragrance, but guess what's in there? Over 3,000 ingredients are in the category fragrance. And because it's fragrance, kind of like with specific things, when you say natural flavors in food, that's their trademark. They don't have to list it because that's their like, it's their band-aid. It covers up all the bad things they're putting in there. So and she talked about the ingredients used for odor, and these are carcinogens, allergens, and endocrine disruptors, and we're burning them in the system, in our air, and getting them in our system, or plugging them in, or spraying them with roof, Febreze, Lysol, all that. And so that just blew my mind. She said burning generates pollutants, which we talked about, but pollutants, when inhaled, could lead to inflammation of the airways. I don't know about you, but I feel like this year inflammation has been like hot button word. I've never seen inflammation pop up in the last 10 years. I didn't even know what inflammation was, but lately everyone's talking about how they're this and they're treated towards that. So and inflammation leads to disease. Minimize and avoid pollutants to reduce your risk of developing disease, period.
Yeah, and I think the thing too is like, I get it, they smell good, like trust me. I had candles, I had plugins, I had Febrezes, I had all of it, and I had many of them. Like I was the one that would go to the store and there'd be a candle sale and I'd buy like 6 at a time because they'd be on sale. So I get it. Like it's not that you don't want that scent, or you don't want something to smell great. Like we said, like it is kind of a mood thing, and even just like an ambiance, right? But you can still have things that smell great that don't pollute you. So I put this one on candle flicker. I'm not sure if you can see it very well on a, oh, that's a little better. So diffusers have different settings. They've got different colors and lights and programs, and you can turn lights off if you want. But like even this serves as a candle, as like a mood, right? Like it's on a candle flicker setting. You can put in whatever oils you want, and this would replace a candle. So instead of, first of all, one thing for us when I used to have candles and wax melts, actually it was wax melts that Reggie's like, yeah, no, like the cat or the dog's gonna pull that off and then it's gonna go flying and then it's gonna start a fire, and like, no, he's like, no, we're not having that. So that was one no. And then candles too, he's like, the cat's gonna get the tail in it and it's gonna light on fire and then the house is gonna burn down. Like, no, you don't want that around your kids and your pets, and they have even more sensitive lungs and bodies than we do. So that for me was the first time that we kind of like stopped using those and then started to use diffusers. So that again is another thing. Like it's a physical health thing, but it's also a physical like safety thing, right? Just like you don't want your house to burn down, you don't want your pets or kids to be physically unsafe.
Well, what, you saying that makes me think like, okay, so someone who loves their candles, I got rid of all of ours 6 years ago and it was hard, especially like the thick wick ones. What I would say to someone who is a candle lover and just like a super skeptical person, like they can't do without their candles, put them in the cup, don't throw them away. Put them in the cupboard for 3 months. Try diffusing for 3 months. Because 30 days, start at 30 days. You're supposed to do things for up to 90 days to really see like a difference. But if you're like, I don't know, commit to 30 days. If you can reach the 30 days, pat yourself on the back and go for 90 days. And if you can do it for 90 days, you can do it forever. And see if you see a difference in your health. If your children are having to take Zyrtec or Claritin, or you yourself are, try it and see if it makes a difference. If it doesn't, pull the freaking candles back out and we'll give you money back for the diffuser and oils. Like,
And you will probably prefer it. Like when you look at it, like sure, if you're like, I'm not an oil person. Like there are so many easy things. So I know I wanted to mention one or two because I think that's something that intimidates people also is like, well, I don't know what the oils are for, how to use them, what drops do I use, how do I mix them? So I'm a pretty simple person. I'd rather have something like pre-made ready for me so I don't have to think about it. I don't want to be mixing 10 bottles trying to figure out what things are for. So I like easy. So some Christmas ones that are just like staples and so easy. You don't need to mix anything else with it. First favorite would be Christmas Spirit for sure. So when you talked about people have like mixing that on the stove, that's exactly what I thought of. So that's what it smells like to me. That's what I have going. It has orange, cinnamon, and black spruce. So really nice with that cinnamon. It's very cozy. Spruce is really, grounding and calming. And then orange is really good for our mood. So this one, like if this is all you got around Christmas time and you diffused it, it would smell beautiful. Some people diffuse it all year round. They're like,
I love it. My mom is obsessed with it.
I know. I had someone the other day. She's like, I'm out of Christmas Spirit. How long does the order take to arrive? I'm like, don't worry, not long. And then another one I wanted to share about is Winter Nights as well. So these are both what's called a blend. And that just means that they have more than one oil mixed in them. And that makes it super easy because it's like having a candle all in one. You don't need to buy a bunch of different oils. You don't need to have them laying around and know how to mix things up. It's just like so easy. Put a couple drops in, away you go. And the price difference on a candle is huge. So I don't have the breakdown with me. Actually, I might in the thing. Sure. You tell me why you like Winter Nights, because I think I have that breakdown and it's very interesting actually.
It smells like tiny bit uplifting, but I also wanted to, I said I like Thieves. Okay, I like Thieves. And prior to new oils coming out, peppermint was as close as I could get to a candy cane. And so I would diffuse peppermint, especially during the holidays, because it's the closest I could get to having that candy cane. Scent that reminds me of my mom putting them on the tree. And then you mentioned Everessence green to get like the real tree scent. It's like a woodsy oil, and it's actually, they didn't allow this one. This was not available during the holidays, but normally it is. Was last year's Sacred Angel.
Oh yeah, that one's special.
It's so really good. Nice. It's like pre-made, heaven on earth. It's so good. It's a floral scent, but I like. And then while you're looking, it's not Christmas, but it still has the holiday scents. I mean the fall scent.
I'll mention this first before we go into that. So most people are like, oh my gosh, a diffuser and an oil versus a candle. So a Yankee Classic candle is $31 for an average of 75 hours of burn time. That's 41 cents per hour to burn. Each bottle in that simplified collection that you have has about 200 drops. So that's 600 drops total. Most diffusers run for 12 hours and take, she said 8 drops. I don't put that many in mine personally. I put far
like
less than
4 or
8.
5.
Oh, like max, right? Like I even just put 1 drop of Christmas Spirit right now. Like they last a long time. So going on that 12 hours, 8 drops, that's 900 hours of diffusing for 11 cents an hour. So it's not more expensive. It's better for your health. It's safer. It's just a no-brainer. So that was the fall one that you have, Brittany, which is also really good for that season. What are those scents again?
Yeah, and I have still been diffusing it. So I actually didn't get this in until like a month ago. So the fall scents, which when they released this originally, it was gone in like 3 to 4 hours max. So these are specific. So it started this summer. Young Living came out and was like, you know what? People love their candles and they want an easy button. Because like you said, like for example, the holiday cookies oil blend, you had to put 6 drops of vanilla, 2 drops of orange, and 1 drop of ginger. Like it was taking 2 or 3 essential oils, putting a few drops in of each, like get like a specific scent. Well, they wanted to make it easy for the candle lovers that want safer options in their home. And I love me some fall scents. So I didn't snag the summer scents because that's not really my jam. The fall scents are it. So we have Cozy Cabin, Ginger Snaps, and Orange Spice Cider. And these still work now. I mean, Ginger Snaps reminds me of Steven's grandma makes crybabies and cookies, and
What are those? I don't know what that is. What
they're
is
Canadian. Isn't that a Canadian thing?
I don't know what that is.
They're so good. Well, and she makes like other type of cookies that I don't know what they're all called.
I'll have to look
'Cause I'm
that
not
up.
a baker, but it kind of reminds me of a little bit of gingerness to
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
But they're just like a clump of, I don't know, cookies with white
Mm.
icing. They're so good. But the ginger snaps reminds me of cookies. And then orange spice cedar is good any time of the year.
Anytime of year.
This gives me like that pumpkin spice.
Yeah, good for
feel.
fall. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still like to diffuse over the holidays. So the reason we're sharing this collection with you is because on December 1st, in 2 days, Young Living is releasing their exclusive winter collection, and we cannot wait. I'm so pumped to get this in.
This one I'm most excited for.
Which
so
one?
like this Christmas one, like the winter one. So the 3 oils are, I have what they are too. So candy cane, which I know you're going to be all over.
Well, look, I saw that, I was like,
Literally.
Shut up.
I know. Pink champagne, and then winter spa. So I'll tell you guys what's in them. And then just to note, yes, these will come out on December 1st, but they're seasonal items and they're limited time. So like Brittany said before, like summer sold out so fast, and winter or the fall one sold out ridiculously fast. Like I think
fall
they were
was
a
going
day
in
or less.
3 hours in the US.
Yeah.
I know they're
Which is
different
crazy.
in Canada. And then so they came eventually, a bit like I'm talking about like a month later, came out with it again. And that's when I snagged this set. And it was still, even after that, they were gone within 6 hours of the second.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like,
and that just shows you how people want that easy button, right? Like they want things to smell good, but they don't want it to be, harmful. So it's just so easy. So this is a really, really good set. This is also great to gift, because if you know somebody that loves candles, but you want them to have a safer option, or they're looking for something, super good. So let's do candy cane first. So that one is a sweet and minty aroma that will instantly transform your space into a magical candy cane wonderland. So it has wintergreen, peppermint, balsam copaiba, so tree, and vanilla. So I feel like it's going to be like kind of tangy with the wintergreen and peppermint, and like a little bit sweet with the vanilla. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Can't wait.
And the
bottle, pretty.
Yeah, they're very, very beautiful. Pink champagne says, cheers. This bright aroma creates a bubbly environment of fun, fruity scents with floral. So it has grapefruit, camphor, bitter orange, jasmine, ylang ylang, and cistus. This one I'm intrigued about because ylang ylang is quite floral as well as jasmine, but then you've got, the very citrusy like orange and grapefruit. So it might just be like that perfect balance, I think. And then the last one is called
Winter
Spa. So this one is a soothing, revitalizing aroma that takes you back to a state of calm, transforming your space into a winter oasis. So it has bergamot, tangerine, eucalyptus radiata, lavender, ylang ylang, orange, and jasmine. So again, another kind of blend of, there's a little bit of herb with the eucalyptus, a bit of citrus, and then a bit of floral. So I'm excited for all 3. I think they will all smell beautiful.
And okay, so this is what's exciting. You mentioned that it was like the price point and diffusing's cheaper. So you get 3 bottles, and these are big bottles. So normally a lot of times, like my friends and family, when they purchase essential oils, they get the small 5 ml bottle, 5 milliliters. This is 10 milliliters. And so I think you said they're about 250 drops per bottle. And look, I've been diffusing this fall scent like crazy. Well, that one's kind of clear, so that's hard to see. And I'm still like at the top. See? And I've been
crazy how long they last.
For 2 months. They last so long. And so I'm like, okay, well, good. I'm set for like 3 years on this.
Yeah, truly. And that's the beautiful thing about oils too, is like they're not going to be wasted, right? Use what you want seasonally. Like when I always have a bottle of Christmas spirit on hand. So when next year rolls around, oh, I'm ready. I'm gonna start diffusing my Christmas spirit. So
Yeah, and it's only
um
$100 in the US, and I know in
yeah.
Canada it's 126.25, right?
Yeah, so a really good price point, especially for three, like you said, 10 ml bottles. So Brittany and I are both going to be doing something special for our people. So whether you are somebody that's a current customer of either of ours, or you're somebody that starts their free account, which is just like making basically a wellness Amazon account come straight to your door. And if you're new and you purchase the collection on December 1st, we are going to treat you guys with something special. So you'll have to reach out to each of us to see what that is, but just something to, kind of say thank you for investing in your health and taking this step, right? It can be scary at first. You're like, I don't know how to use an oil. What the heck is going on? But it's such an easy swap, and they make it really, really simple with this candle kind of collection, right? I like to call it that as well. Like it's just a candle replacement.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what those scents are. And if those scents aren't for you, you 100% could start with something as easy as like thieves essential oil, peppermint. Is it, like under $15 essential oil? Like she said, Christmas spirit is within the $20 range.
Another super, super easy one is just like peppermint and vanilla. These are ones to always have on hand, right? They're also very, very like this is candy cane-ish too.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. And we will see y'all next week.
Right. See you.